When I started, there was a lot of money flowing to the space. There was a lot of brands that were getting funded really fast, growing really fast.
Founder versus like being an operator. It's such a mentality shift.
Not everybody needs to start a brand, not everyone needs to acquire a brand.
I'm literally trying to turn LinkedIn a little unhinged and not make it so like professional and make it like a little bit more real, you know?
Hey friends, welcome to Above the Fold podcast. I'm your host, Jess Servion. We're going to be talking about everything in your customer's journey. You're going to learn things about customer experience, brand experience, and marketing secrets that help you drive your brand success. So stay tuned, buckle up, and let's get into the episode.
Welcome back to another episode of After Hours Live on LinkedIn. This week, I'm joined by my boy, Nate Rosen, founder of Express Checkout, also has a job as a partnership manager at Instant. and
Also true.
it is very true. We're going to talk about snacks, but Nate, before we get into it, like let's talk about like what's Express Checkout, like you being the snack king, the ruler of the land.
I
I'm gonna
try.
get some hate on that one.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to be here, Jess. I haven't talked to you in a minute, so this is fun.
Yeah,
We've texted a bit, but haven't like face to face. This hasn't happened in a while.
I know. I miss you,
It's
bud.
okay. Um, yeah, Express Checkout. It's my newsletter, Substack, I guess, which is the in vogue thing to say. Been doing it for 2.5 years now. Covers the world of CPG, retail, e-commerce, and everything in between. Put it out every Monday. Just put it out like a couple minutes ago. We started doing a second send as well every Friday, where we feature folks like yourself, Miss
I was featured last
Jess.
week, but then he forgot to link my LinkedIn profile and who I
Yes.
was. So I'm just a girl. I'm just a
Yep.
girl.
Just Jess.
Yes.
And yeah, every
um,
week we talk about all the fun stuff.
yeah. Well, I'm really happy that you agreed to do this on LinkedIn. We don't. Who knows who's tuning in right now?
Who
If there's
knows?
any questions you want to
I'm
talk
not
about
even going to
snacks,
check.
yeah, this one we kind of needed my girl Franny, but that's okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I really want to talk about just the CPG industry. And one other thing that we're going to do. We also bought snacks. Some of my snacks didn't come, but we bought some snacks. So we're going to do a little live snack taste testing with the Snack King. Wait,
Got a bunch of
I
stuff.
didn't come. I got these. Dude, I actually love these. We're going to talk about these in a bit. Yeah. Yeah. Chad really building, and it's crazy. But anyway, all right, we'll talk about that in a bit. So listen,
That's for after.
you've been deep in both like ops and tech. What's your read on the current state of the CPG industry now, and like what feels different right now?
Mm. So when I started, there was a lot of money flowing to the space. There was a lot of brands that were getting funded really fast, growing really fast, and also growing really fast on direct to consumer, especially the food and beverage brands. I think over the past couple of years, a lot of them have pivoted to more of an omni-channel approach. Some are still in D2C, some are in retail, some are in both, some are just in one channel. I think recently something that I've seen is a lot of brand. Oh, the
Yeah.
formatting changed. Um,
Hi,
my,
Brandon.
I look good. Hey, Brandon. I
Anyway,
think
yeah, a lot of the formats changed, but tell me
a lot
more.
yeah. No, I think a lot of brands are on a different path. Not everybody is just going out to raise. I think a lot of brands are starting to bootstrap or at least raise more from angels rather than institutions. Obviously, there's been a lot of news around fundraises and acquisitions and just a lot of activity. But I think a lot of brands are sort of narrowing their focus and trying to build more operationally sound businesses. And if they're not, they're seeking that acquisition route in some capacity. Like we just talked about Rowdy Mermaid, which is a kombucha brand that was just acquired by Next to Natural. They had some troubles from sourcing their cans, which a lot of beverage brands have had some issues with sourcing aluminum and some other operational things, and found their um Brendan.
Yeah.
Um, this is fun. But it found a new home with Next to Natural, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that over the coming year. A lot more acquisitions, both from the need to be acquired and also from good opportunities. Like I think the Poppy and Pepsi acquisition, or the
Yeah.
Pepsi acquisition of Poppy, that makes sense. Um, so yeah, I think there's a lot of good things happening overall. I feel like the vibes are relatively good. Um, I
Yeah.
certainly felt that at Expo, but it's always a mixed bag. I think now more than ever, especially with tariffs, um, and with everything going on with our government. You good? What's wrong?
We're live and in color right now, and like you were like echoing for me.
Oh,
You
am
didn't
I
hear
still
that?
echoing? No.
Yeah, no, you're good. Okay, cool. So keep telling me about Expo West though.
What was I
So
saying? Oh, yeah.
just
I
raising
What'd you say?
and just raising in general in the CPG space right now.
It's mixed. I mean, at certain points in my career so far in this space, which I know people have been in a lot longer than I have, but from my observations, there was a time where raising was relatively easy. And now I feel like it's sort of all over the place. There really isn't a, yes, it's
Mhm.
easy. Yes, it's hard. It's easy for some, hard for others. It really depends on who you know. I think a lot of the
Yeah,
brands who are raising have either seen significant traction and it's basically a no-brainer, or they're really hyped, or they're really following a trend, um, or they have just amazing connections in the space. But there are plenty of brands who are also raising. So I really think it's all across the board right now. There isn't really, I haven't noticed like one single trend, especially from the raising standpoint.
yeah,
Um, but I do feel like a lot of brands are really focused on building operationally sound and efficient businesses,
yeah.
where I don't think that was really the focus so much a few years ago.
Well, I agree with you. I think everybody at all cost were saying like, let's oh, our boy Andy, don't worry, he's got questions already.
Of course
Okay.
he does.
I know, but, I think what's really interesting about, like, CPG, like, when, a few years ago, when I first started getting into CPG, it was just, like, there was an abundance to be had, and people were just, like, throwing money at all these
Yeah.
channels, like, "Get on Amazon, do these things, do this and that," and then now, working across a bunch of, like, different CPG brands, fractionally, I just, like, noticed that people are becoming way more scrappier on, like, the
Hmm.
teams. They're not over hiring. They're not just going and like put going on these channels and like hurrying up and like selling on them. And I think that that is good for sure. But I also think on the other side of it too is like people are really trying to get into retail very quickly. And it's
Yeah.
like, but then
It also causes issues.
that was my next thing, right? It's like, okay, great. You're going to go into retail and you're going to get in, but like, then people don't really understand that once you get on the shelf at retail, you still have to drive velocity. Like you
Yeah.
still have to do things.
Yeah, I think look, this happened when COVID struck, and there was a lot of focus on direct to consumer. When yes, it worked for a bit, but it doesn't work when people start going back offline, and it also doesn't work for every brand. I think that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of nuance here about which brands this work for, like beverages, for example, like Olipop and Poppies. Sure, they had a great subscription and direct to consumer business during the pandemic because everybody was at home and they're like, well, I'm not going out, so I might as well bring it to my house. But that's not where they built their
Yeah.
billion-dollar, $2 billion businesses. It, they built it on shelf, but not everybody is going to be doing that. Like there are some brands that can mostly swing it on Amazon and on their own site and maybe never really touch retail, or not touch it too much. Maybe they don't go national, maybe they stay regional,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I think that's something that's often lost in a lot of the discussions around like what's working, what's not working, is as much as it's sort of basic to say, it depends on the business, depends on the founder, who they know, where they come from. Like
Dude,
eh,
yeah.
there's so many variables that I just don't think are often discussed or focused on like why something works or why something doesn't work. Like
Mhm.
I'm sure like there's plenty of people out here who are figure or writing think pieces about like how to pull off what David Barr did. Well, David Barr works because of Peter Rahal and because he built and sold RX Bar and he has the
Mhm.
connections, he has the capital, he knows what he's doing. Him and
The fact
Zach
that you
too.
have the connections, you have the capital, right? Like,
I,
it's different for, like, somebody who has nothing, right?
right, right. Like if Daniel Lubetsky went and started another bar company, let's say, like just like Peter did, Daniel had kind and still kind of has it, but if he went off and started his own thing, not a problem.
Yeah.
Like he could do it because theoretically he knows what he's doing. Granted, just because you're a second time founder does not mean you know what you're doing. But
Dude, honestly, like, becoming a founder versus, like, being an operator, this is a completely different subject, but, like, it's such a mentality shift, and it's very different, but, like, I can't even imagine. It's like, you could have one success as a founder here or no success, and then your second could be good or bad. Like, there's no playbook of like, you're doing really well, right? And, like,
right,
every marketer out there is going to be like, well, you got to go do those ads, and you got to sell the things, right? And, like, that's really, like, that'll work out. That works out, and you definitely do those things, but, like, it takes time. It takes
yeah,
time. Like, some brands are in this, like, I mean, look at Poppy was Mother
right,
before, right? Then exploded, then, like, Shark, I wouldn't say exploded, but, like, then went down the pathway of Shark Tank, and then, rebranded, did all of these things, and then found its footing in, like, this, like, kind of really poppy nostalgia,
hmm
I don't know, girly pop, like,
yeah,
branding, right? Then, like, brick by brick was building all of those marketing plans, and then obviously getting into more retail, and we're driving more velocity, and then that's how they get the $1 billion exit.
right. Not not everybody has that patience or has the patience to see that patience.
Yeah.
I think is another side of it.
Yeah, or the money. So let's answer Andy, because this kind of goes back to the beginning before I, like, move on to some other questions I have for you. But, like, are people generally starting off with crowdfunding now?
It's out there. I think it works better for some brands than others. I think a consumable product, it doesn't work as well. I mean, I know like Fly by Jing did pretty well on, it depends also what crowdfunding we're talking about. If it's Kickstarter or if it's what's the other one? Republic or
Mhm.
WeFunder, where it's more like there's sort of they're raising capital through crowdfunding, or they're raising just people pre-ordering the product. There's sort of
Ugh, pre-order.
that's the difference. That's the difference between Kickstarter and
Please,
Republic.
please.
Republic's more of like an equity raise
Yeah.
versus Kickstarter, which is essentially a pre-order. It's just a pre-order page. But yeah, I mean, I think it depends on your product. Food and bev, I I think there's far fewer brands going the crowdfunding route these days. I don't think there's been too much success in it.
Mhm.
There has been some success, but I don't think it's worth a lot of effort for a lot of these food founders where they have so many other things to worry about and like getting the funding to pay for the lawyer and get the page set up and all of this stuff. It just never really gets a lot of traction unless you already have a big audience who for some reason wants to support you from that angle. But
Well, that actually leads to me to a question that I was curious about your opinion. So
mhm,
everybody talks about the founder story, and, like, and I mean, me being a marketer, I'm like,
right.
build the emotional connection, like, do the things, like, even for my own stuff, like, that's literally why I'm, like, hoeing out on the internet and, like,
Yeah,
content everywhere, because I'm
as you
building
should.
my own I'm
As
building
you
my
should.
own founder story for, like, Sweet Rem, right? Like, my own supplement. But what is your opinion about the founder story for these food brands, for any brand, really? Like, even if you're not a snack, like,
Yeah.
or what is your thought?
I think it helps getting things kicked off because it's good to have a face. It's good to have a story around a brand. Eventually, as you get big enough, like it's a little bit. It's helpful maybe for fundraising. It's helpful for maybe maintaining some brand affinity online. Like Poppy still has their founder pretty active. I mean, she's very active in the brand, and she's the face of it. But I personally don't think most brands really need
Yeah.
that. I think there are some brands that might have like one founder who's a little bit more front facing, sort of more of the marketing side of things, and the other one's a little bit more operations. That's a great way to do it if like you really want to have a founder led brand in some capacity. But
Mhm.
I think similar to like a lot of the celebrity led brands, it's like it really helps kickstart it, just so
Yeah.
you can attach it to somebody. You have somebody sort of owning that brand before the brand has its own brand.
Yeah. Okay, actually, with that take because now you said like celebrity and creator brands, what's your take on creators creating like CPG products?
So it's funny. I was just talking to Trace from Trace's Oats.
Mm,
He is a content creator down the south. He has, I think, 1 million subscribers, followers. Um, I think like him starting his own overnight oats company makes sense, and
mhm,
he's going to be very active, and he's building and working on it, and it like really aligns with his brand. But if you're like some random YouTuber or some lifestyle creator and you just sort of spin up something that's really just glorified merch, just have it be really nice merch and just have it be that.
yeah,
Or just kind of just sell as an affiliate or be a partner or invest and be like, hey, I'm an investor in this. I really like the brand. I was using it. They were a sponsor, whatever it is. And then just sort of be a marketing arm. You don't, not
yeah,
everybody needs to start a brand. Not everyone needs to acquire a brand.
yeah,
I think look at Joyride, for example. I think that's a good one. Like if you're a creator and you want to start or participate in a brand, you have to do what Ryan is doing. You have
mhm,
to incorporate it into most of your content. You have to be really active with it. You can't really be passive with it because it's you are the reason, more or less you are the reason, you as the creator, the reason that somebody's buying that brand or at least getting introduced to the brand. And like not everybody knows the creator. So I
yeah.
my
I mean, no, not everybody does know the creator. I mean,
yeah,
not to go too deep into this because we're live and I'm from this era, right?
yes,
But I mean, I look at like Feastables and when granted, like you can't really compare like a Feastables to like a Kylie Jenner brand or like one of those, right? Like, or even like Khloe
yeah,
Kardashian's like Cloud. But I can say that like before Mr. Beast was like very big and coming out with Feastables, I remember being like recruited for Feastables and being like, what is a Feastables and who is Mr. Beast? Straight up.
yeah,
I was like, I'm sorry, what? But then as I like obviously like did a lot of things with it and like started to like understand the audience and marketing and like CX and all of those things, like it was kind of crazy because like all these children really like it, right? But that's a very niche audience, right?
right,
And I think that like even taking that or even taking like Khloe Kardashian's Cloud or the makeup or any of these brands that like these that people are coming out with, I think it's like you can't just like slop your name onto something. Like you have to be
right,
invested in that product because it is a representation of you. But I do think that a lot of creators out there they see the Kardashians or they see the Mr. Beast or they see the Prime and they see like the success of like these brands and then they're immediately like, oh my God, I want to go and like do this CPG product or I want to do these things. And it's like the merch thing has like evolved, right?
right, right.
This is the merch. But like, hello, CPG snacks take a little bit. There's a little bit of manufacturing, there's like some formulating, like you got to do the
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, and like, look, there are companies that sort of, and even the management companies who sort of just take their creators and slap the name on a product or help the creators sort of make it. But like, again, if the creator is not active in it, it's so silly to marry their name to that brand
Yeah.
because sure they'll post about it, they'll be in some ads for a bit, but if they stop engaging with it and it's that whole brand is the creator, it just dies. It disappears. It goes away, and you lose all that traction that you built up from having that creator involved. So it can quickly become sort of a wasted effort if the creator
Yeah.
is not involved and not aligned with the product.
Yeah. Totally. I agree. I think on that note, we should take a little bit of a snack break.
Yeah, I'm thirsty.
I am thirsty, but wait, here's the problem. I can't open this.
Leisure. Oh
Wait,
God.
hold on. I'm going to full nails.
Ooh, that was good.
All right, so we're trying Leisure. What flavor did you get? Tropical mango?
Tropical mango.
Okay, same. So hydrating, electrolytes, 10 vitamins and nutrients, magnesium, and ashwagandha for mood, and no
Love it.
fake stuff. And now I'm going to ask you a very hot take question.
Yeah.
Do you think the hydration industry is overly saturated?
Yeah, of course. There's so many. Oh my God. It's crazy. I forgot. I was quoted in some article about hydration. I think it was in CNN. And part of my take around hydration is that first of all, most of the electrolytes and the hydration stuff, and look, I'll preface this, I'm not a scientist, I'm a CPG guy or a nutritionist, just a CPG guy. Most of these drinks have a ton of electrolytes. They're marketed towards like the elite athletes. Most of us are not working out or running or doing sports enough to warrant 10,000 milligrams of electrolytes or whatever it is in these drinks. Like most of the time, water's fine. But I think the reason these drinks do so well, one of the reasons I think there's a lot of fitness, fitness is big, and that makes sense. But I think a lot of people just want flavored water.
I think
at the end of the day.
For sure. I do think it's flavored water. I do think about like when you were a kid and you like grow up. I mean, I'm a brand marketer. Like I'm always going to think about like, how do you market a product and like make anybody want anything. Right. But like, you know, I look at this can and I'm like, okay, leisure hydration, like the way that like the logo flows and like the way that it's very like reminds me of the Kool-Aid Man is really pulling to, you know, I would say that us being children drinking Kool-Aid, right?
It's like a nostalgia play too. And I think also Leisure does it interesting where it's like they're not leaning heavily into the sport aspect of that many hydration brands do. So I think they stand out in that sense.
Yeah.
And like their whole part of their shtick is like, you're creative, you're just working, like you want something flavorful, you want something that's hydrating. And that's what this is for. This is not necessarily for someone who's going crazy and working out. This is for somebody every day. This is far less aggressive branding and marketing than a lot of the hydration drinks out there. And this is for a bigger audience. And then also the other side of it too is it's an aluminum can. It's non-carbonated. A surprising amount of people don't like carbonation. I think they're crazy, but
I think they're crazy. Are you kidding me? I want spice when I'm drinking a seltzer. Okay.
Hard agree. And the other thing too is a can's more sustainable. So like I know that they've sort of gotten into some channels because they're a more sustainable option than a Gatorade or a Body Armor because they're an aluminum can and not a plastic bottle.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, especially from like a plastic bottle perspective too, like, we're very much like thinking about microplastics and we're thinking about the things that we like consume and like what our packaged products are in. We actually just got a question, which brings me to like something that I was just going to mention about hydration, but I don't, apologies because I don't know the name. It just says LinkedIn user, but do you think there's space in the hydration market for more brands to enter the space? And then they asked about like, and how could they differentiate themselves from say a Poppy or Celsius? And my answer to this, because I was actually thinking about this when you were talking about leisure and just like, if it's you're a creative type or you're just working or you're not like an athlete, I actually think a space that we're seeing more and more happen in is like GLP-1 users, right?
Yes.
So like GLP-1 user, like, and I ain't ashamed to say it, I'm a GLP-1 user. I shouldn't say it like it was like a drug.
There's millions of users. I mean,
I needed, but I actually think that is this like from a hydration perspective, like that portion of like even marketing to it and even a differentiator is maybe marketing to like those individuals who are like on these weight loss drugs, because when you are on a GLP-1, like, yes, you have to get your protein gains. Yes. It's David from the Studio Media. So yes, it's like you have to get your protein, but you also have to get hydrated because like hydration, right, is a big part of your like care. Like you have to get at least 2 liters a day, or like there's like
Wow.
just a bunch of things that can happen. You also have to like consume sodium, magnesium, like a lot of like
Yeah.
vitamins and stuff. And I think that like from a hydration perspective, that is a spot that I'm not seeing a lot more people at least market to.
So you're I think you're spot on because I spoke to a brand a few months ago. I'm unfortunately blanking on the name, but their whole suite of, but it's really bad. I'll search it and post it somewhere. Their whole suite of
Right.
products is hydration powder, protein powder, other sort of like normal supplements and products designed for people using GLP-1 because of
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. So they
Yeah.
they have a hydration stick that is designed for the specific needs of somebody who is on a GLP-1. Uh, so I think that's spot on. I mean, it's going to be a massive market and it's not going away, especially because
Weird.
like the only way it works is if you keep using it. Um,
Yeah.
which makes sense. And I think there's like that's why the protein space is taking off too, is because of a lot of the GLP-1 stuff. But yeah, in regards to this question, like I think there's plenty of hydration beverages geared towards the athlete. Obviously, that's aspirational, but I think there's room to have hydration beverages that are just geared towards somebody who just wants good tasting liquid.
Yeah.
And I think also Andy's right, is that cans are status symbols, and there probably there's going to be more hydration beverages in cans. And there's
Yeah.
one that just
Like
launched.
love a poppy. I will
Yeah,
pick up the 4-pack just because I'm like, oh, look at these
yeah,
colors. They speak to me, you know?
right. It's striking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it could be worse. We could all be addicted to drugs. Instead, we're just addicted to hydration.
That is true.
Wait,
That
I want to go back to like the protein thing real quick.
yeah,
Sorry, because the other thought that I have there too is that yeah, I think there's like a ton of protein like in the space. Like it's just insane. I probably work for every protein brand on the
yeah,
market at this point. Um but one of the things that I'm seeing from like a hydration point of view and also a protein point of view is clear whey.
yeah. Clear protein's cool.
Yeah, I know. There's a cool brand out there, Wicked Protein. Shout
Yeah,
out to them because we do work for them. But it's interesting to like see the audience like come through for them because again, it goes back to those like bariatric patients, GLP-1 users, weight loss users. And
mm,
so I actually think that like we're gonna see a lot more of that clear whey like protein like coming out more and more because like it answers a little bit of hydration and protein at the same time. And so like going back to the question from David, like do you think there's space in the hydration market? I actually think it's a mixture of that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good.
Yeah, clear protein's good. I haven't tried Wicked. I've had Clean Simple Eats, both their RTD and their powder. Protein 2.0 is pretty good. And there was a couple at Expo West this year that showed up in a couple different forms. It's pretty impressive. Seek is another one,
Yes.
SEEQ. Big on TikTok. That one's definitely one of the TikTok brands. There's always like of a lot of like trendy products, there's always like one or two that are just TikTok big.
Well, I mean, let's talk about TikTok as a whole channel, right?
Sure.
Like, I know we started this conversation with talking about CPG and like talking about how CPG, like you're in like a lot of these different channels, you're doing all these things, but I actually think that there's like a huge opportunity, an even bigger opportunity from like TikTok Shop for more CPG because where we saw TikTok Shop kick off so much is beauty mostly, right? And it still is. But now I'm seeing more and more people pick up like other things like hydration, like what we're talking about, like Seek, like cortisol
Yeah.
powders. Hey Salute is like, I mean, shout out to my
Oh
homie
yeah.
all the time.
It's all over my
Crushing
feed.
on TikTok. Yeah, and then like, I mean, I was just gonna say like let's like even talk about these like groons and like this whole stuff,
I'm
but
not
like
flipping you off.
I know health and wellness. Like I just think
Yeah.
like that channel is just such a big channel for health and wellness.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And like I feel that it definitely kicked off with a lot of, sort of mediocre little plastic things, and then a lot of
Yeah,
skincare and beauty, and then a lot of candy
yeah.
is on TikTok Shop.
Hmm. But do you
Smarties,
think that,
Bon
like this
Bon.
is the era of like I'm scammy? like
Yeah.
TikTok,
Yeah.
right?
People are noticing it. At least I'm seeing it sort of
Mhm.
in some videos I'm watching and comments where people are like, every other video is an affiliate post. If I see seller gets commission, I'm skipping. And they're pumping it. But the thing is, it must be working because they're still pumping it. And
Yeah,
that's where it gets a little tricky, I think, especially for them as a platform. It's just like, how do you manage being a sales platform where you're
yeah,
clearly making money and clearly it's working, but also not pissing off a lot of your consumers, a lot of
yeah.
your users?
Well, I think from like I th- this is gonna go down like a nostalgia pathway, but like think about I think TikTok Shop like opened that QVC for like this generation.
Well, guess what? Guess who's coming to TikTok Shop? QVC.
QVC? No
They're
way.
they're doing a live partnership.
Okay.
So
Well,
QVC will be on TikTok live selling.
interesting.
Like 20, I think it's like a
I mean,
24/7 live or something.
you guys. Like
I
you can't get them in the TV, but we're gonna get them in their mobile phones. Don't worry, okay?
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know. Wait, can we go to talk about
Yeah,
Grunes and Nootropes? So I use Nootropes, you use Grunes.
I use
Which
grins.
are
I
like
don't like mushroomy stuff.
I was just gonna ask you what's your take on mushrooms?
I think it's disgusting. Personal
Well, the
opinion.
guy who says you like leisure, this has ashwagandha in it.
I don't taste it.
Okay, fair.
If I don't taste it, it's fine. I don't like the taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
My take on mushrooms, I don't know. I like coffee. I'm not gonna drink mushroom coffee. I like coffee beans.
Okay,
And I like
fair.
green stuff.
Fair, but I do think that like this like between these and Grunes, right? It again, it goes back to the nostalgia thing of like a gummy
Oh,
bear vitamin. But I will tell you that
yeah.
nootropics, I've been taking it for like quite a few weeks now, and like I need to get off of my coffee addiction, and this has actually really helped me.
See, I don't want to get off my coffee addiction. I am good with 3 to 4 cups a day and a packet of these and some Lexapro, and I'm great.
Yeah, and therapy.
And of course, some deep loading chews.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my Wonder Belly didn't come in. Try it live on
Underbelly.
camera.
Oh, this stuff's great. Tastes good. Oh, this is hard to do. There we go. I love these. So they started with just like, I kind of hate this word, but yassified Tums. And
Yeah,
then
but
they launched,
oh, go ahead. Sorry, I
oh,
have thoughts. I have thoughts.
I'm
So
sure
many
you
thoughts.
do. Then they launched a deep loading chew. And I think they have like a all-in-one chew as well. They have a couple other SKUs, but it tastes good. It's a bit pricey, but I like them.
I don't
Oh,
know 3 to 4. How about 6? I don't know what that comment is. Um, okay. I hear you on like the yassifying it, but you have to think about it. Like if I'm a brand and like I'm in an overly saturated area of like hydration
oh, I
or
don't think it's bad. I just don't like the word yassified.
oh, okay. I was
I
like,
think
I
it's
mean, yes,
overused, but I think it's a good descriptor in this scenario.
yeah,
No, I think this is great. Like I was in Target the other day and like this pops. I think it
yeah,
pops nicely because everything's either fully color blocked or looks old. This is fun. This is new. It's in a metal tin, which is nice. It's cute. And it's got some ethicone, which is gonna deload.
great. And it
Yummy.
tastes yummy.
Just like
But
strawberry
like,
shortcake.
oh, interesting. You know,
Mhm.
Tums like really gross me out.
I only like the chewy Tums, not the chalky
Yeah.
Tums.
No, it grosses me out. And like I have like Tums that sit in my cabinet, but like next to like something that has smelled like a perfume or something. And like it's like
Where are you keeping your Tums?
in my like medicine cabinet. I don't know what is
Okay,
like
yeah, that's fair, I guess.
I think it wait. First of all, 3 to 4, how about 6? And we were talking about
Coffee.
coffees. How many coffees do you have, Nate?
Normally 3 to 4, sometimes a little bit more, but also I
Sure,
sometimes
this is literally why you need antacid. Okay?
I don't no, I just get bloated. I don't get heartburn.
Okay.
I'm lucky that way. I feel like someone with my name would get a lot of heartburn. Um,
Yeah.
we should answer Andy's question about what yassified means.
Well, I think Nate should answer Andy's question. Andy Rosenberg, our king. Hi, I'm 39. What does yassify mean?
What's a good way to put it? I mean, it's okay. I did Google it because I was like, okay, what's better than just it looks like millennial lies.
Oh
Um,
man,
it's it's a lot of the branding that's happening right now with like
Poppy.
products. You're basically taking like a boring product that's been around for a while and making it very glamorous,
Mm-hmm.
like a de-bloating chew. This is a great example. Tums is fine, it's good, works. Somebody makes a better tasting, better branded,
So
maybe
you
more
yassify
expensive
it.
product. Yassified.
Yeah, better branded. I mean, the Wonder Belly also is like the core audience because I did a study on them before for
Oh,
my content moment. Their core audience is moms. Their core audience is a woman.
yeah.
So it's like the coloring of it and what things that they choose. So it's obviously towards more of the female audience. Okay. Quick question before we like move on to like more stacks. I didn't get to this before, but I really want to get what your take is on tariffs. I mean, like I know it's a hot subject that everybody and their mom is talking about, but like there's just been a lot of talk about tariffs and import fees, and especially with new policies impacting cost structure. Like, what's on your radar? Like, what are you guys following for express checkout?
So honestly, we haven't been covering it that much. I think we sort of covered it for the first couple weeks that it was like in more of the discussion, more broadly. I
I too, Andy, my it doesn't seem like it, but yes, I'm a part of the crew.
I I think something with tariffs too is it's like it's so up in the air. We don't really know what's happening. From what I've heard from a lot of brands, both on the food and beverage side and more of like the hard and soft goods side, a lot of the times they're kind of just biting the bullet and like just going with it as much as they can or trying to find ways to source as many ingredients from places that are not tariffed or the tariffs are less because there's like next to nothing you can do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of we'll I don't I also don't think we're going to see the effects of the tariffs for a bit. We're starting to see it with price increases and more brands being sold out and just taking longer to get products, and seeing it across bigger brands who are raising their prices from $1 to $5. I've seen a lot of reports on that, just sort of building it into the cost.
Hmm.
But
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, building it into the cost. But what is your take on like brands being transparent about that cost?
It's hard because not all consumers really understand what's happening. They don't understand how brands are run, operated, and built.
Hmm.
Where, yeah, you could say it's more expensive, but consumers really care about price.
Hmm.
Even if they know, they're like, I'm gonna just go get the private label brand at Target because it's gonna be cheaper. It's probably gonna be the
Hmm.
same thing
Shop
in
at
their
Target
mind.
anymore. Did you hear
Right.
me?
I did hear you. That boycott did work. They've had
Hmm.
many consecutive weeks of sale declines. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Investors are definitely also more hesitant around getting into brands that have maybe complex supply chains or supply chains that are clearly affected by tariffs, or probably even not affected by tariffs, and they're just hesitant in general.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I actually haven't thought much about the consumer side of how they're thinking about the transparency and like what is actually working, what's not working. I think there's a large cohort of consumers who probably love it. I think there's a large cohort of consumers who probably either don't care or are angry with it, and they're like, "Don't raise my prices." But
Yeah. Well, I think it's really hard from like a
yeah,
consumer point
I'm
of
sure
view.
you have some good insight into sort
Well,
of
I just think it's like I
with you
think it's
that
just
day.
really hard from a consumer's like standpoint, right? It's like
Yeah.
if prices are going up, but then like the amount of money that you're not making individually is going up with their like job that you're working at, like how do you justify buying, a can for branding purposes, right? Or how do I
Right.
justify buying my bougie mushroom snack? They're not snacks. These are not snacks. These once a day. But you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
so I think from a consumer standpoint, I think what's really important is prices are going to go up. Doesn't matter. Like it doesn't tariffs or not at this point. It's like this is just consumerism and economic climates like every year that continue to go up. I think what it's really important from the brand's perspective though is to be transparent, be honest if you can, if you're in that type of brand. I also think it's making sure that you're producing products that are worthwhile. Like you're not just putting crappy ingredients and things just to cut costs. You're like you're if I'm spending $50 on something, that better be the best $50 that I'm spending, and I'm not just like getting like the knockoff version somewhere else. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. That makes total sense. I also think a lot of because the discussion around tariffs are literally everywhere,
Yeah.
and I think obviously the egg thing is the bird flu, but people are sort of aware of what's happening, maybe more than other um, situations that might have affected the price of goods or the accessibility of goods in the past. Like people know what's happening with the tariffs generally. At least they know that things are getting more expensive or harder to get.
Yeah.
Um, so I think to your point, they're gonna be more choosy where they put their money. They're gonna buy the Nintendo Switch,
Hmm.
but they might not go for some I don't know something else that would be affected by tariffs and
Right.
costs
Something that's
more.
like, just viral in that moment, right?
Right.
Um, well, one last question on this, just like from like your take of like advising other companies and just like everything that you've seen, how do you think that founders should look at scenario planning when it comes to like these geopolitical or regulatory risks in the
Mm.
rest of 2025 and honestly beyond?
Assume something bad's going to happen that's going to negatively affect your business. It's probably safe to assume something will put a wrench in the cogs at some point, regardless of who's in office, regardless of the year, regardless of anything. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're a global world. If the Suez Canal gets backed up because somebody falls asleep at the wheel, a train gets derailed, the highway bridge collapses and a truck can't get whatever it is. There's so many scenarios that can happen, whether we're in a good environment or a bad environment. So I think a lot of brands, and this is what I've learned from also talking to a lot of brands, is like if you can get your operations to a really good point, you have good relationships with your manufacturers or you own your manufacturing, and where where to spend your money to make sure that like things can get made and shipped to you or shipped to the customer or shipped to the retailer. I think
Hmm.
the other thing that's really important is understanding your cash flow cycles and knowing your
Hmm.
margins. Um, the margins piece I think is really important, especially in times of uncertainty where you can sort of eat into those margins a bit to make life a little bit easy for you. So if you sort of work on building a good operationally sound business with as high margins as you can make them, you can weather the storm a lot better and maybe have lower margins for that year or for that month or for that scenario so you can make it out on the other side. And then on the other side is that the cash conversion cycle is just knowing when your money is coming in and out
Yeah.
and knowing like what you can and can't do. If maybe you know not all scenarios that can hurt your business are bad. Like we were saying earlier, getting into retail, maybe you get a bunch of POs for thousands of doors for Walmart or Target, and like you really want to say yes for it. Like, but that could really hurt your business if you don't have a good cash conversion cycle, don't have a lot of cash on hand to manufacture the products and then ship it, and that whole scenario. So I, I,
Yeah.
I think I think knowing your margins and trying to beef up those margins as much as possible to weather any storm that hits, whether it's a small trucking delay or freaking tariffs. Like,
Yeah. Always
sorry.
plan for the worst. Like
Yeah.
literally. What do you think you're seeing from like retail buyers and distributors that founders don't talk about publicly?
Ooh,
I know that was a deep one.
that's a good one. I think something that I've noticed just over my time in the space is like a lot of retailers and buyers are not really, and distributors are not really looking for that crazy of a brand. And by that I mean like they're not really looking for too funky of a flavor or an ingredient, or even if they accept that, I don't think consumers are really looking for that at the end of the day, unfortunately. Um, but I think they're looking for something that will move units,
Mm-hmm. Like,
and
yeah.
that most yeah, and that most consumers really want. And most of the time, retailers really know what consumers want. They're the ones selling products, so much product all the time. They know what works and what doesn't work, but also they don't always talk about it.
I mean, no. And I mean, most of the time, like retailers and distributors are like purchasing, so far in advance. So it's like
Yeah,
you might be like planning for Halloween in like January,
yeah.
you know.
Really, what
Um,
retailers and distributors want is a really good price.
yeah,
but
yeah,
but they say that to everybody, so that's not a secret.
I know. What do you think makes a good modern retail brand in like
Ooh.
right now, like in this year, 2025?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
I know.
Um,
I think about the aisles constantly at
yeah.
Whole Foods.
Well, I think one, I think it has to, if we're talking about food and bev in particular, I think
Hmm.
mostly it has to taste good. That's a big thing. I think it needs to be slightly nostalgic, but mostly, or slightly not even nostalgic. As what's the phrase I like to use? Oh, slightly novel is a different N word.
Novel.
Slightly novel, but mostly familiar. I think
Yeah.
is really it's just a winning strategy, especially for brands in retail. Online, you can get away with a lot more. You have a lot more real estate. You have more time to engage with that consumer. On retail, you have about 3 seconds with every consumer.
Hmm.
Um, so I think on packaging, one is having an image of the actual product, or at least a very clear representation of the flavor. I think is really important on shelf, in
Oh my God.
particular.
Yeah. Because it's like you can be picked over like 1,000 times over. I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't make this. Did your cushy come?
No, but I've had it many times. It's very good. I love them.
But I mean, like if I'm looking at like this, right? Like if I'm in the crouton aisle, this sticks out to me because I see
Yeah.
color, I see immediately like
Right.
almost the life size of like
It just
what it
plays to
is.
your primitive brains. Like
Mhm.
you need to see it. Like I have here this. I have Real Z, which is a stuffed date. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I know what it is. Oh wait, god damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate mirrors and stuff. But like this is really clear what it's giving me. And if you don't have like something that's see through on the packaging, I think that's really important. I also think it's really important for brands, especially brands who want to be in retail, to go to different stores and look what's already on there in your category set and think
Yeah.
about how you can stand out from that. Are you going to be bold colors? Are you going to be more minimal because everything else is not? Um, I think that's really important. But I I having a picture of the product or the flavor
Yeah.
on pack is so important
Yeah.
because most consumers, I don't even me, I don't really read. I look at pretty packaging. Think about how you buy wine. Most people buy wine because of the packaging.
I mean, it's like reading a book. It's like I'm gonna go to a bookstore
I'm going
and
to judge a book by its cover.
thank you. I said
I'm gonna
reading a
judge.
book, but I meant I'm gonna judge a book by
Yeah.
its cover.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
I heard what you meant.
Thanks. I mean, dude, I totally get it. Like,
I probably
I
even
look
have other
at
stuff
this.
in here that's like.
I also like look at Cushy. I'm just like using this because this is like a very boring aisle where croutons are,
Yeah.
right? But I think they've used every piece of real estate. But I do love down here it says
Exactly.
product enlarged to show detail.
They have to say that.
I know. But like, because I've worked a lot of CX in my lifetime.
Oh yeah.
And people are like, oh, that's not the size of it,
Again, but like to my point, consumers are we're
Consumers,
like monkey
dude,
brains. We're not.
I say this to like literally all of my clients, and if any of my clients are listening right now, I've like said these things, but you basically have to like, I'm gonna get into so much shit for this one, but like you have to pretend that like, okay, actually this is a nicer way of putting it. Okay, if I'm a person there are people out there that read, there are people out there that like look at visuals.
Yeah.
And there's people out there that like have to see like motion, right? That's why content works so much, because it's like we're rotting our brains. So you have to think for like all of those types of individuals reading your product is my point. So it's a nicer way of me saying that you basically have to plan that like people don't read and they're kind of dumb.
Yeah. I think a great example of this that I love using, despite me not loving the product, I think it's what Halo Top did with their packaging.
You don't love Halo?
No, I don't think it tastes good at all. I can't.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
That's not the point of this. I think from their old packaging to their new packaging, so their old packaging had every claim on, and then every kind of claim that you can make about that product on the front of pack. It told you everything about that product. Then they rebranded to it's 100 calories, eat the pint. Is it low sugar? Yes. Is it high in protein? Yes. Is it gluten-free? Maybe. Whatever. There's 1,000 claims that you can make about this product, but they chose the simplest one that you can get in 3 seconds, and then that took it to a billion-dollar company because, again, primitive brains. Like we just need one thing. We can't multitask. And the people who want to find those other things will find it. Or you market it as a really niche product to one group of people, but like that's really hard to do in food and bev because you kind of need the scale unless you're very specific and you have a very specific audience in mind.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that's a whole other subject.
Yes.
Like I literally think it's a whole other subject. I posted content about this today about this isn't food and bev, but like Dr. Squatch's like Sydney Sweeney's like bathwater soap.
Yeah.
But like you can market to a niche audience, right? But to go to your point about food and bev,
yeah,
product base, it's like you can have these like little things that you do.
And also for both food and bev and for non-food and bev, like a Dr. Squatch is like that company is also big enough to do that kind of marketing stunt where that marketing stunt, sure, they can make a bunch of money from selling that crazy soap. But what's going to happen, this is the same with Oreo, their regular SKUs are going to increase in revenue over the next whatever time because people are thinking about Dr. Squatch. And they're going to go buy it in store because they're in store and they're like, oh, isn't that the Sydney Sweeney thing I saw? I'm going to try the Cedar Oak bar or whatever. I'm going to buy this for my boyfriend. I'll buy this for myself, whatever it is. And it's the same with like when Oreo comes out with a new flavor, sales of regular Oreos, original Oreos increase. It's marketing for their main product and their main product lines.
Like the Post Malone Oreos.
Yeah.
On Post event, guess what just showed up? Guess what just showed up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I just want to say Amazon be failing me.
Real.
Okay?
These are not good if you have a peanut allergy, but they are. Oh no, this is almond. This one's almond. They have an almond one.
Yeah, cute. Well, I don't think I'm gonna have time.
This is for the thumbnail.
Hold on. Wait, do it again.
There you
go. Okay. Well, we are almost at the end of the road, my friend, and I actually have a bunch of hot takes for you.
Great.
Ready?
Wait, hot takes for me or for me to say back?
To say back.
You can tell me your hot takes. That's fine.
No, I've been having too many spicy thoughts in private conversations this week. All right. Most overrated CPG trend right now. Gotta go quick.
The adaptogenics.
Okay.
I can think of anything.
Fair. Okay. What is an underrated retail channel?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. College
Mm-hmm.
campuses.
Made it in time for the hot takes. Give us hot takes in the comments.
I only want Andy's
College
hot takes.
campuses.
Hot
Oh my God,
takes.
you're totally right. Like college campuses, especially in food and
It's
bev,
great. Yeah.
for sure.
You get them
One of my
hooked
home,
early on. Protein.
I mean protein, I know. One of my homegirls, Nicole Ramirez, she does ecom for UCLA.
Oh yeah.
And she always tells me that the store, like they bring in things into the store and like it like flies off the shelf. Like Taste Salute actually was
Yeah.
brought into UCLA and flies off the shelf. So it's like that. I agree with you. I think that's an absolutely underrated retail channel. Okay. Founder behavior that's gonna backfire. Sassy queens on the internet thinking they can write the things on D2C Twitter and people are never going to remember it.
A little bit of that and having too much of an ego on LinkedIn.
Wait.
I'm not saying founder posting on LinkedIn is fine. There's a difference between like you doing it for yourself and doing it more for your brand.
Yeah. Okay, LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a
Just
channel.
LinkedIn in general.
Listen, I love LinkedIn. Hello. Okay, actually I do want to get to this person's question, but I want to ask you one more before we do.
Yeah.
One product on your radar that's slept on. Brendan, I'll introduce you to Nicole.
A product on my radar that slept on. Oh wait. Oh, I got it. Kabi Foods. There's a which one is it? Kabi Foods. Wait, I want to get the specific product from them because they have a soy sauce. It's good. Oh, the Kabi Foods miso glaze is one of like the best things ever, and their sweet yuzu vinaigrette. But the miso glaze is insanely good.
I'll have to pick that up.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know the name of this person because it just says LinkedIn user, but should brands promote on LinkedIn? I keep seeing brands doing basically sales pitches as content. Does it move the needle that much? I have an opinion.
From what I've gathered, this is David's question. From what I've gathered,
sorry, David. It literally says LinkedIn person, like on my end. I can't tell.
From what I've gathered, it depends if we're talking about like promoted, like paid promoted post or just use the founder like sharing stories and sharing with the product. If it's the latter, yeah, 100%. There's plenty of buyers and investors on LinkedIn that are looking and you know curious to learn more. Oh, this is Larry. Oh, it's
Larry. I'm so sorry. It literally just says LinkedIn user. You know how much
maybe
I love
we're not connected to Larry on LinkedIn. If we're if we're talking about paid promoted, like a promoted post, no, probably not. I don't I don't think that that makes much sense, or I don't
you guys.
And then I think if you're like a founder and you want to talk about your brand online, 100% you should. You totally should. Even if
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's it's good for SEO.
Exactly.
Google shows up. Like if you search random CPG stuff, I will probably show up. Kyle Fitzpatrick will probably show up. John Craven from BevNet will show up. Like Jess, you'll show up. Like we'll all show up because we're writing about this and it's very specific things. So if somebody's searching like whatever, like it'll show up.
Yeah.
I think it's a big value of actually posting, maybe even more than people seeing it, but buyers and investors do stock LinkedIn.
I agree. So I think like that's what I was going to say though. It's like, okay, so should food brands promote on LinkedIn? I think like anything you're selling, whether it's food brands or any sort of consumer packaged good, really, right?
Or a silly little agency.
Right. I mean, yeah. But I do think that like I like LinkedIn as a channel. Like truthfully, I really like it. I feel like the adults are in the room. That's like how it makes me feel.
You have not browsed LinkedIn lunatics on Reddit that much then.
I'm probably on.
Highly recommend.
But okay, so going to the point though, like I see Lex posting about like his journey, his like founder journey about raising and all these things. And I'm like, I have such an
Works.
emotional connection to his post on it. And
Yeah.
so I don't think it's like, okay, buy this product, like, oh my God, go buy this product. But I think it's like sharing your accolades, sharing your wins, sharing your losses. And like, I think it's like using it as like you building a business in a
Yeah.
journal in a way.
Yeah.
And what last thing I'll say, sorry, it's also very much a B2B platform. So a lot of these VC firms, a lot of these investors, angel investors, whoever are going to be on LinkedIn probably more than they're going to be on like a Twitter or TikTok or these other places.
Yeah. I love that you use Lex as an example, because I was walking around with him at Expo West, and
Patrick Johnson is
what
disrupting the last.
Wonderbelly is the answer, Patrick. But with Lex from Lexington Bakes, I was walking around with him at Expo West, and he got stopped so many times by people that we knew and we didn't know, being like, "Lex, I love your LinkedIn post," because it's authentic and it's just his voice. And I
Yeah.
think that's also a big thing. Is like a lot of them feels like sales pitches because they're using ChatGPT, or they're literally
Mhm,
just like not being themselves, like how they
mhm.
would be at like a coffee or a drink with a friend. And I think that's something really true.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think do whatever works for you, man. Like I think it's just really hard. I mean, I think it's
It
really
is.
hard building a brand and being the founder of that brand or being an operator of that brand and going on other channels like TikTok, people are going to be harsh. Instagram, people are going to be harsh. YouTube, same thing. People are always going to have an opinion no matter what platform it is that you're on. And so it's like, and I mean, like, this is why I literally joke and say, like, I hoe out on LinkedIn because, like,
Yeah.
I'm literally trying to turn LinkedIn a little unhinged and not make it so, like, professional and make it, like, a little bit more real, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the
I
more people that do that, they can make this platform, like, fun.
Yes. And I
That was my
also
hat.
think like it's a good soapbox to be on. But I also think like as much as likes feel really good, sometimes you can get a lot of eyeballs without actually getting that engagement, and that still produces a very similar result. And like I think it's really important to be true to yourself. That sounds so lame, but like no, what we're saying is just like um just being in your own voice, as long as you're not like a terrible person.
Yeah.
Um, Drew,
Lexington
Lex's
Bakes.
brand,
Yeah,
Lexington
Lexington
Bakes.
Bakes. And I think okay, actually, Patrick just asked, but sucks at making content elsewhere. Oh, who do you think makes the best content on LinkedIn? We're going to nominate Lex Evans for that.
Yeah,
Lexington Bakes is the brand. Um,
best
I think
brownies.
there's like a lot of like other good content creators on here too, but my feed is like mostly marketers.
Yeah, I can list off all the YouTubers I like.
Yeah, I know, right? Uh, and then and then Patrick, but sex at making content elsewhere. I'm never gonna get that meme. So, and then Brendan said, I was just chatting with Lex about his last week on my bad days. It's good to see he and other founders have also exactly the point.
Everybody has bad
Emotional
days.
connection.
Can I hard on LinkedIn swag? Yes, that's
Oh
actually
yeah.
that's really good.
Wait, should it be on my She Innovates hats? And then on the back, I hoe out on LinkedIn. Hold
Yeah.
on.
Um,
Yeah.
but I actually think like one of the downsides to a lot of people sharing stuff online is they often share a grossly glorified version of what's happening, and they do that because it works. People want to hear about the good stuff a little bit
Midday squares, yeah.
less than the bad stuff. But I do think it's important to sort of like share without giving away too much or making yourself seem like a bad founder. Is like also share what's going wrong or
Yeah.
what can be better. Like there's also ways to phrase it to make it feel a little bit less negative. So yeah, I think would
Yeah. Actually, I have one woman I want to nominate before we end this. I Alexandra Fine from Dame Products is also one of my favorite follows.
yeah.
She spoke at one of my events. She spoke at She Innovates, and she like motivated the entire crowd and said, "Listen, if you got to get out there and walk up that cringe mountain, you go and do it." So we
Yeah.
all out here on LinkedIn walking that cringe mountain to build our own brand.
The whole
Okay?
Dame team is amazing.
I know. I know. All right. Before we take off, is there any more questions in the comment sections? I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in and being so engaged. Patrick Johnson, Andy Rosenberg, Larry Toma. Nothing.
Wow.
All right. Well, Nate Rosen, my dude.
That's me.
Hopefully I
Man
see
with
you
tummy.
All right, Nate, tell the crowd where they can find you and your content.
You can find me on Substack under Nate Rosen under Express Checkout. You can find me on Instagram at Express Checkout. Find me on TikTok at Nate.Rosen. And you can find me on LinkedIn, just Nate Rosen.
Okay. And Patrick said, what's your current favorite brand out there right now? We'll answer that in the group chat, Patrick. And to everybody else, thank you for tuning in to another episode of After Hours. We will be reposting this on Above the Fold this Thursday, so tune in. And be sure to sign up for the next one because my sweet Larry is going to be on the next After Hours, and we're going to talk about retention, returns, and CX. And Genji says bye. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Dang, we've made it to the end of the podcast and you're still here. So thank you so much for listening to Above the Fold podcast. For the best of this episode and every episode, be sure to follow us on Instagram and my YouTube channel. And for deeper dives on the secrets to brand success, don't forget to subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Sunday Postcards. All right, my dudes and gals, see you next week.